Very excited about it. Yes, yes.
And whenever you would like to get started, we are here.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
before you do that, I just want to say everybody that's here tonight, thank you so much. Because I have a little cold. It's not COVID.
okay.
It's not COVID. It was clear. But we just thankful for everyone that came here tonight, because we know that you had to take out time to come visit with Mississippi PTA and hear Dr. Quinn tips on how to stay safe for COVID. But we would like to thank everyone for attending tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. Before we start, I think it's very appropriate that we start with a prayer. And I want everybody to just bow your heads. And we're going to say, Lord, we thank this opportunity for me to come before you all. And we pray that the information that we provide will help us to become more empowered so that we can get through this pandemic as safely as possible for all of our families, especially our children. Amen. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to start out with a little prop. Okay, you see these gloves right here, right? Oh! All right, so you might, why is Dr. Quinn wearing gloves? Well, the whole point is with this COVID pandemic, what we have to understand is we can fight back. You know, I bring these gloves to just put it that mental, that physical image in your mind that we can fight back. And that's what I hope that I can leave you all with tonight, that we don't have to just helplessly endure this pandemic, because we have to understand that our children depend on us. When we walk and we hold our children's hand and we lead them, they will follow us wherever we go. If we lead them into troubled lands, they'll come right with us. If we lead them to prosperous lands, safe lands, they will follow us as well. So we as parents, we have to understand that we are warriors for our children. How many people have boxing gloves? That's right. We can fight back. So with all that being said, my name is Dr. Timothy Quinn. I'm a family physician. I take care of entire families from infants all the way to working adults to the elderly. And this is really, really beneficial as a physician, because by being a family physician, by treating the whole family, you become part of the family. And that familiarity really helps with patients being more aware, more confident, and more compliant. So let's talk about the pandemic. We have a lot of people zooming in. You missed my intro, but we'll play it again at the end. But as I was saying, because it looks like I'm the one that's hosting the meeting, so I'm letting people in as I talk. So if you see me do that, that means that's another person coming. I think we just had the superintendent of one of our school districts to attend. So it's a great honor, ma'am, for you to attend as well. But as I was saying, my name is Dr. Timothy Quinn. I'm a family physician, and I too am a parent. And as I said earlier, our job as parents is to protect our children, to lead them, and to guide them in a way that they will be safe and prosperous as possible. And during this pandemic, I've had the unfortunate experience of a lot of my parents feeling disenfranchised, feeling helpless, feeling hopeless. And what I really want to impress on everyone that's attending tonight is we don't have to feel that way. We can take control, and we can have a drastic impact on the outcome of our children's health during this pandemic. So you might ask, what can we do as parents, right? I don't know if we have questions prepared, so I'll ask myself the questions that I get asked every single day by my wonderful parents. Dr. Quinn, what can I do? You know, I can't shoot the virus, you know, I can't shoot it. I can't beat it up, you know, I can't see it. What can I do as a parent? Well, the most important thing that we can do, and I'm gonna say we, because I'm a parent as well, is we can get our children vaccinated. It's been overwhelmingly demonstrated with the science, with the data. If we get the vaccinations, number one, the vaccines are safe. Number two, the vaccines are effective. Let me repeat that. Number one, the vaccines are safe. Number two, the vaccines are effective. So you might ask, let's talk about the safety first, because I do a lot of news segments, I do a lot of speeches, and I talk to a lot of patients every day, but even more so, I talk to people. I go to Kroger's, I might buy some food. It's always healthy food, of course. But people will approach me in the Kroger. They'll say, Dr. Quinn, I saw you on television. You were talking about the vaccines. I don't want to be a guinea pig. I heard about the Tuskegee experiment. I don't want to be somebody that the government is practicing on so that, I can lose my life while they're trying to figure it out. Well, the first thing that I reassure that person in Kroger or my patient or the people I talk to when I do the local news is, number one, this is new, okay? But the technology that's being used for coronavirus to make the vaccinations is not necessarily new technology. We've used it before. We've not used it at the magnitude that we're currently using it, but we have used this technology. One very notable time was when we did the Ebola virus vaccinations, where we used what's called the messenger RNA technology. And basically what this is when you get vaccinated, they introduce messenger RNA that's recombinant polychain reproduced, and basically it's just genetic material. And basically what this genetic material is, and I explained it to a patient, it's almost like a cookbook. It's a recipe. And we have somebody else coming, the presenter and letting people in. But when we get vaccinated, in the vaccine is the genetic material, the messenger RNA, and that's your Pfizer and your Moderna. And this cookbook or this ingredient list is injected into your body and it's taken up into your cells. And once it's in your cells, your cells produce proteins from that ingredient that look just like the proteins on the coronavirus. So you might say, well, why do they want me to make proteins that are the same as the coronavirus proteins? That's crazy, because I'm infecting myself with corona. No, you're not infecting yourself with coronavirus. The deal about viruses is they're proteins, but they have genetic material. And once somebody is infected with the virus, those proteins that are on the outside of the virus help the virus get into human cells, and then the genetic material from the virus causes more virus, and then you're overwhelmed with virus, and that's how you can lose your life. But with the vaccines, it's only the genetic material that makes the proteins. It's almost like your body is being invaded by an enemy. And when you get vaccinated, you get the enemy's coats, their camouflage, the things that help them get to you. So when you get vaccinated, you produce those proteins that are the same as the proteins on the virus. And then your body's defense mechanism, it starts making the defense antibodies. So now if you come into contact with someone with coronavirus and they sneeze, achoo, or they're talking and you contract coronavirus from them, now you have coronavirus, but your body has the antibodies, the defense. So just like these boxing gloves, you're ready, boom, 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 and you can fight coronavirus and you can knock it out before it has an opportunity to reproduce enough to even make you sick. And that's what the vaccines do. So that's basically the way they work. And then, like I said, a lot of people ask me, are they safe? Yes. Now, there are side effects for some people. Now, when I got vaccinated, I went to the gym and worked out, but I was blessed. I was lucky. I didn't get any side effects. But my wife, she got vaccinated and she was tired for the day. And she went to bed at about 9 o'clock. But when she woke up the next morning, she was good to go. Then some people, they may be sick for 2 or 3 days. They have muscle aches, they feel tired. Some people get headaches, they can be a little bit confused. But in about a day or two, they get better and they're fine. With all that being said, as a doctor, I've had a lot of people that have contracted coronavirus. Let's talk about the side effects to coronavirus. People not vaccinated. Some of these people end up very sick with pneumonia, very difficult respiratory tract infections, sinusitis, headaches, feeling just horrible, getting admitted to the hospital, getting admitted to the ICU, put on ventilators, and some, the side effect of getting coronavirus, not being vaccinated, death. So we worry about the side effects, which are mild and usually self-resolving in 24 to 48 hours, versus the side effects of not getting vaccinated, losing your life. So there you go. I don't know, safety of getting vaccinated, safety of not getting vaccinated and getting coronavirus. I'll take the vaccination. So let's talk about, basically why get vaccinated if you can still get coronavirus? I wish I could get a little feedback. Is there any way, a hands up or thumbs up? Everybody's wondering that because a lot of patients, they'll say, well, Dr. Quinn, if I get vaccinated, I can still get coronavirus. So why even get vaccinated? Well, let's go back. Remember these boxing gloves? Wait, I gotta play my music right quick for my newcomers so they can hear my music. I don't know if y'all remember that song. All right, so you got your vaccination. You're making your antibodies. All right, now you get coronavirus. You can fight because you have your immune system to fight it off. That's for my people asleep. I know I'm crazy, but it's fun. So what I'm saying is you can get vaccinated. You can get what's called a breakthrough infection where you can still contract coronavirus, but you can fight and you can kick coronavirus's tail and you can win. So that's why it's so important for everyone to get vaccinated. Now, let's talk about our children. That's scary because at the end of the day, our children, we love our children and we don't want to risk getting our children vaccinated and these vaccines harmful, taking our children's lives, okay? There's a condition that was of a great concern early on called myocarditis, all right? That's inflammation of the heart, or pericarditis, that's inflammation of the outside of the heart. These inflammatory heart diseases, or this inflammatory heart states. Some research showed that very few people, especially teenagers, develop myocarditis. It is true, but it was very few. It was like less than 1 in a million. It was very low numbers. But the research also demonstrated you can also get myocarditis and pericarditis from coronavirus. So if you get vaccinated, there's a very small, almost small to none chance that your child might get pericarditis or myocarditis. If they don't get vaccinated, there's a high chance that they're going to get coronavirus and a higher chance that they're going to get myocarditis or pericarditis, which is the inflammatory heart syndrome. Now, the good news is the research also showed the data. And the data, basically, when you hear the data, that means the collected information that is a result of what really happened. The data showed that children that got cardiac inflammatory syndrome, such as the myocarditis or the pericarditis, was a much milder case, meaning they had a little chest discomfort. They got the echocardiogram, which is the diagnostic test to determine, but they got better, in a few days with just minor treatments. Overwhelmingly, the children that got coronavirus didn't get vaccinated and got the same inflammatory heart conditions. They were much more sick and had a much higher probability and a resultant loss of life. So there you go again. Get vaccinated. There's a chance you can have side effects. But if you don't get vaccinated, there's a higher chance you'll get coronavirus and worse side effects and lose your life. So that's just another example. Another condition, multi-inflammatory syndrome in children. Children that get vaccinated, very low chance. Not vaccinated, very high chance. And this can also take your child's life. So there's so many reasons why children should get vaccinated. Let me just hit another question that I get a lot about children. So at what age can children get vaccinated? Well, early on, initially when vaccines were first approved back in December of 2020, or not 2019 or 20, might need a little help from my wife because it's been a couple of years. When we first got our vaccines approved, only adults age 18 and older could receive vaccinations. They could receive the Pfizer, the Moderna, or the Johnson & Johnson. Now, the Pfizer and Moderna, both of these are, oh, my wife is texting me. She's such a wonderful, her hair is not hooked up right now, but she said December 2020. I love my wife. Anyway, so when these vaccines were first approved in December 2020, only adults could be vaccinated. And a lot of parents were like, why is it that only adults can be vaccinated early on, but now you want to vaccinate children? That's kind of fishy. I'm not trusting the science. Let me tell you why. Our clinic actually participates in clinical trials. We work with Pfizer, we work with Merck, we work with Eli Lilly and others. And we do clinical studies in our actual clinic. And the reason why adults were allowed to be vaccinated before children is because children have a much higher bar of requirements in order to receive a new therapeutic treatment modality, such as vaccines. So before adults 18 and older were allowed to be vaccinated, there was a great deal of scientific research in clinics like Quinn Healthcare and UMC and other clinics all over the world where participants in clinical trials would participate in vaccinations. What the researchers were evaluating was, did they die? It's almost like when you look at the prehistoric movies with the cavemen. You have a caveman king, you know, he's the king of the cavemen, and they'll come up on some new food and he wants to eat it. He's like, looks good. But before he eats it, he's gonna let some other men eat it that might not be the king. And if they die, he's like, nah, I don't think I want to eat that. But if they eat the food and they're like, yeah, all right, he's like, give me some of that food. So basically it's the same thing. With research, instead of starting out with other men though, they start out with animals. So they allow the animals to do the vaccines. Animals do okay. I can beat coronavirus. Then they get participants, they give them a little bit, everybody's okay, side effects are little, effectiveness is up. Then after they've had months and months of hundreds of thousands of people that are in clinical trials for safety, closely monitored, receive these vaccines, then they open it up to the general public. And at that point, they're determined safe. But no, early on, everything was emergency use authorization only by the FDA, meaning they're still watching it very closely. So far, Pfizer is no longer in that status, but just note that they are watching it because there were some questions of some vaccines and they would pull it back, let it back out. So it's determined that it's safe. But the reason that children weren't allowed early on is they had to really make sure. And once they really made sure with more observations, more people vaccinated, more people safe, then they said children 12 to 18. But now they're all the way down to children as young as 6 years of age to 18 because time has gone by. But now we're testing, and we've been testing the whole time, children as young as 2 years and 6 months old. So just note that the FDA does not leave one stone overturned when it comes to safety. And let's talk about money. Let's talk about that moolah, baby. Okay, everybody wants to talk about money. It's all about money. No, it's not. Because think about it. If the FDA was all about money, they would have given in to the pressures of the pharmaceutical companies back in September of, let me look at my wife's text, of 2020, because early on in the pandemic, the vaccines were already being manufactured. The pharmaceutical companies were like, look, we've been through months and months and months of testing. We need to go ahead and get them, FDA approved so we can start getting them out so we can make that money, right? Okay, it's just true. The FDA was not going for it. They made them wait all the way until December of 2020. That was a lot of time that they could have made a lot of money, but the FDA was adamant that they were not going to allow those vaccines until they were determined safe. So that's just a little reassurance. But as far as our children, so we're all the way down to 6 years old now to get vaccinated. And basically it's just a lower dose of the vaccine than we give to the parents. And it's 3 weeks apart for the Pfizer. Now, the booster. What is the booster, Dr. Quinn? The booster, boost, what are you talking about? Now, note that this pandemic is fluid, all right? It's up and down. Information is coming. I mean, I'll go on the news and do a story about one thing I'm studying. I'm Dr. Quinn, live from Quinn Healthcare, information, da-da-da. And then right in the middle of my story, my wife, she'll be like, no. It just changed. I'm like, I'll be right back. And that's literally the way it's been this whole pandemic, because information is coming in so fast, so quickly that the message is changing. And it's very confusing and it's very frustrating to a lot of people. But we just have to understand that it's good though, because as we are currently engaged in information and treatments and different protocols, as new information comes in, we're flexible in that we will change the policy so that we can give our general public the best case scenario based on the latest information. So don't let that discourage you. I'm gonna drink a little water. So don't let that discourage you. Just let it encourage you and understand that there are a lot of people watching and they're not afraid to say, stop, Dr. Fauci, and let's go this way. But that's good. So we have the latest information. But as far as those boosters, now, what are boosters? Like, I get that every day. What are boosters? What does that mean? Well, basically, when you get your vaccination, you start, I got a couple of new ones, so I'm gonna play a little piece of my song again. I like that song, it gets me hyped. Uh-oh. So you get vaccinated, right? I don't know if people are laughing or calling the crazy house to come get me. But we got those, we're making those antibodies. Our immune system is getting strong, okay? So our immune system is getting strong. You know, we have one boxing glove. Now we have two boxing gloves. You know, we one vaccine, boom, we have antibodies to fight it off. Another vaccine, boom, we have antibodies to fight it off. So come on, coronavirus. All right, we get a breakthrough infection. You know, our kid goes to school. It was so funny. One lady the other day came to the clinic. She was so upset. She showed me a mask. It was a Batman mask. And I'm like, that's a nice mask, man. I love Batman. She said, but my baby went to school with a Superman mask on. So basically, he traded masks with his little friend. And allegedly, they found out the little friend had coronavirus. Way to go, kid. But good news for that kid ain't had his vaccine. So he had the antibodies, he had one vaccine, he got his second shot, he had two. He was very strong as far as his antibody level. But as I said, the information is fluid, it changes. So what the data is demonstrating is over time, if you get vaccinated, your antibodies, they start to be less. So maybe you had tenfold, but after about 5 to 6 months, now you're down to fivefold. You still have one boxing glove, so you're better off than if you would have never been vaccinated, but you don't have the same two gloves. But then you get that booster. And the booster it gives you back the glove you lost, another glove, but you're even stronger. So it's like you have 3 gloves. That's right. I would put a glove on my foot, but then that'll be too much because I'd probably fall and get hurt. And I'm kind of old. And if I get hurt, I might not be able to get back up. So there you go. So that's what the booster is. It's an opportunity for a human being to build those antibodies back up after a period of time. Initially, it was 6 months. Now they brought it down to 5 months. And then you're even stronger than before. And also note the variants. Dr. Quinn, what are variants? Mutant Ninja Turtles? No, they're not Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm trying to be entertaining because I know it's a lot of information, but I know y'all gonna remember those. And what is it? Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right, so are you back there singing now, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja. See, my wife is a little bit younger than I am, so she's smarter. She's hipped. She's cool. She's the one that set me up on Zoom because I don't know how to do anything. But anyway, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So basically, what happens is, if someone contracts coronavirus, they basically get the virus inside of their body. It gets into the cells. Okay. Remember that protein I talked about, that spike protein. It attaches to human cells and it allows the virus to get inside. Once inside the virus, 1 virus, 2 virus, 4 virus, 16 virus. I can't do it anymore, but I think you get it. It just replicates. And it goes on and millions of copies just shoot out into the cells and they get in other cells. And before you know it, it's all over your body. Now, I don't know if I have any teachers on the call, but I know some of the parents. If you have to copy something over and over and over again, there's a chance that one of those copies might be a little bit different than the original copy, right? So basically what happens is when it replicates and replicates and replicates and replicates, one might be a little bit different. And when it's different, it might have a difference that makes it even stronger, where it could take the gloves and boom, knock the gloves. It can beat the antibodies a little bit better than the original. And that's when you have your variant. Because basically with the Omicron variant, the Delta variant, these variants were different than the original coronavirus. They're the same coronavirus, but that spike protein, that part of the virus that attaches onto the cells, it's more effective. It's like, I don't know if anybody seen my dance moves. I can dance superbly of other, I can't dance. Let's use LeBron James. LeBron James has a brother, I assume, and a cousin and all this, and they come from the same gene pool, but LeBron James was a little bit different. There was something different about him, but the difference in him gave him an advantage, and that's why he's such a great basketball player. Well, the Omicron variant and the Delta variant, they're like LeBron James. They're different, but the problem is LeBron, I think he has 2 or 3 kids. They have like 8 million kids. And these kids of the Delta and Omicron, they're replicated offspring. They're so advantageous. They're so strong that they told the old coronavirus, move, get out the way. I don't know if y'all watch, what's that man's name, that comedian that I love, the heavy one? Lavelle Crawford. He said, move. But I ain't gonna say the other second word because it was a naughty word. We don't curse. But anyway, he was so funny. So the new variant, the more effective, the Omicron and the other one, it moves the old one out of the way, and now it becomes the dominant variant in the community. And that's why everybody's getting sick, because it's more effective than the old variant. It's more able to get around these boxing gloves. It's like, you know, you can't hit it. But still, you do have the boxing gloves. So even though you missed that one, boom, you hit it with that one. So still get vaccinated, because you still have some fight. It's just not the same as the old fight, but you have some fight. But remember, if you get your booster, it's like boom, boom, but you got that third one, boom. So you have extra antibodies. So that's why it's so important to get the booster. Now, I know I was supposed to go a whole hour, but I have no interaction. And I don't know if there's any way I can get feedback or questions, but I would really love it if I'm going to call the president of the PTA on this phone and put it on speaker, and she'll be able to communicate.
I'm here.
Okay. Oh, you can talk. Okay. I'm right here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Are there questions for me? Because I feel like I've talked
Oh,
so
no.
much.
Well, I
Don't
have.
call Whitfield, please. Don't call Whitfield.
No.
I don't
I
want to
did
go.
have, I did have a question where someone had asked that when you received the COVID-19 shot, that their child received the COVID-19 shot, and the child displayed COVID-19 symptoms. And however, it got the entire family sick. Is that something that is a norm?
That is a great question. And I'm going to give you the answer. If a child received the COVID-19 vaccination, now note, when you get the vaccine, the genetic material has to get inside of your cells and produce those proteins so your body can produce the antibodies to protect you. There's a period of time for that to happen. So basically, there is a possibility that the child that got the COVID-19 vaccination either could have just contracted COVID or got it in that 2-week interval before the child developed the antibodies sufficient to fight it off, or the child could have gotten a breakthrough infection resulting in COVID. Because remember, early on in the pandemic, it was very confusing. The scientists, including me, Dr. Quinn, we were telling people, if you get vaccinated, you're not going to get COVID. But then we learned that if you get vaccinated, you can still get COVID, but you can now fight it off more effectively and have much less of a chance of ending up losing your life or at least getting very sick. So if a child got the vaccine, developed COVID symptoms, it's very likely that that child did develop coronavirus, not from the vaccine, but maybe just going to the mailbox, running into somebody. Maybe that person, somebody touched something at the grocery store. And you know how kids are. When they go in the grocery store, it's like their hands just every hour. My daughter used to knock stuff on the floor. I say, put your hand. I used to make her walk in the store with her hands in her pockets the whole time. People think I'm mean. I don't care. I'm not paying for all this stuff she knocked on the floor and the gum that she slide. No, don't be stealing the shoplifting. But maybe the child touched something and contracted coronavirus because, you know, as soon as they touch it, what are the kids going to do? I don't know why kids put their fingers in their mouth all the time. Or they know they're just kids. That's what they do. So the kid probably contracted coronavirus, brought it home, or somebody else in the house could have gotten coronavirus and gave it to the kid and everybody else in the house. There's no way you can know that retrospectively, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that vaccines do not cause coronavirus.
All right, I have another question for you. It says, do you think that we will have a vaccine for kids younger than 5 soon?
Most definitely, most definitely. And you want to know how I know it? Because we just got the Pfizer study at Quinn Healthcare. So we will be doing vaccinations on children as young as 2 years of age in about 3 weeks. They've already sent us the cooler. You can't get it anywhere else except sites that are doing clinical trials. So if you're interested, you can contact Quinn Healthcare in about 3 to 4 weeks, and we will be vaccinating children through our clinical trial. It's safe, but it's not yet FDA approved as far as emergency use authorization. But over a period of time, now just know Quinn Healthcare, now we're not the only place that will be doing it. We're just a clinic that's been awarded the authorization to do these vaccines because we are a designated clinical research site. We do regular doctoring, but we also do vaccinations and other clinical trials. Like right now, we've also been awarded 2 weight loss clinical trials. So if anybody wants to get summertime fine for 2022, in about 3 weeks, we'll be doing that as well, where we'll be giving experimental weight loss medication, but it works and it's safe. And currently we're doing a trial on Alzheimer's disease where we're doing medicine for individuals who have been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, and we're doing medicine through clinical trials through this program.
Okay, next question is dealing with the N95 mask.
Good question.
Are they still the best mask to use? Because usually kids are using the cloth mask or the medical mask. So is the N95 the best choice?
Most definitely, if you can get them, because kids, you know, they're not good about keeping up with stuff. And the question is, how long can you use it before you have to replace it? You just have to use your judgment. If it's very soiled, then you need to replace it. But N95, it has a 95% effective rate as far as keeping those respiratory particles out. If you can't get an N95 mask, you just don't have access. The second tier would be your surgical mask. These are, you know, hold on, I'm gonna grab one real quick. Uh-oh. Yeah, surgical mask. Well, a surgical mask. Oh. We have one now. Okay. No, I have. Okay. Yeah, these are, I want to show you, these are your surgical masks, and they're not very expensive at all. You can pretty much get them anywhere. And you like this big pack. How much does this big pack of masks cost, Melissa? $20. And this is not the whole pack. There were 4 of these in there, right? 4 of these. Yeah. So it's like maybe 100 or something. 300 for $20. Don't quote me on that, because we might have gotten it a little less expensive because we're a medical clinic and we buy bulk. But the bottom line is, these masks are definitely superior to the cloth mask. And I'm gonna tell you why. These masks have layers of protection, and they're more comfortable. The cloth masks are usually, as I noted, maybe 1 layer. So it's easier for the particles to get through. Now, if you're a parent that does not have access to the N95 mask or the surgical mask, and no, the surgical masks are usually blue, but I got the black mask because I think they look cool. That's right. But anyway, so the surgical masks, which are normally blue, they're white on the inside, but the black ones are the same. They just look really cool. Or the N95, that would be superior. But if you can't, the cloth mask, that's better than nothing at all. But if you do the cloth mask, double them up. You know, if you make the cloth mask out of t-shirt material or whatever, maybe do 2 or even 3 layers and be creative, because the more layers, the better, but make sure your child can breathe. So, you know, you don't want to do 2 layers and kill them. So just, you know, use your discretion, but just note that something is better than nothing at all.
Okay, and another question, dealing with the quarantine kids across Mississippi, there was 20,000 reported today. Is it something, is COVID-19 is just going to be around, well, COVID is just going to be around forever, or is just a phase that we're going to be going through?
Well, the good news is, with this Omicron variant, if you know, people are getting less sick than the previous variants, meaning if somebody contracts it, if they've been vaccinated or not, there's less of a chance that they are ending up in the emergency room, the ICU, and losing their life. It could still happen, and the vaccines definitely decrease your chances, but people are getting less sick. And the scientific community is attributing a great deal of that to the fact that a lot of people have contracted coronavirus already. So when you contract coronavirus, you get some of those antibodies, those defense mechanisms within your body to fight it off. So what we're hoping is, after this Omicron wave, the current scenario that we're in now is starting to plateau off, meaning it's bad, but now it's starting to level off where the numbers are not going up that much every single day. And we hope that it'll start going on down. Now everybody will have some protection. And if another variant comes about, then we'll at least have 1 boxing glove if we didn't get vaccinated, and that'll better protect us. So we feel confident that things will get better.
Okay, I have a teacher that has a question, He said, are we doing the wrong thing since Omicron deals with respiratory by checking temperatures?
Not necessarily, not necessarily. Because the more sick a person is, the more likely they have what's called a high viral load, meaning they have more of the virus inside of them at a higher level and they're more infectious. See, there are different levels of infectivity of a person. Somebody could have coronavirus, they have a low viral load, and they sneeze, you might not get it as quickly. But if somebody has a high viral load and they sneeze, they're gonna mess you up. they're like, ah. So if somebody has a high viral load, they're probably gonna be more sick. And if they're more sick, there's a higher probability that they'll have more of a temperature. They'll be more sick. So the temperature is not a way that we can just know for a fact that they don't have coronavirus, but at least we know that they have a higher probability of being less sick than someone with a low temperature. So if you get a kid with a high temperature, get him out of there, because there's a much higher probability that that kid has a high viral load. He's ready to go Donkey Kong on everybody. So temperatures are still useful.
And one more question. Also, should there have been like training on how to remove masks, since by touching a mask, we are still touching germs?
That's true. There should have, would have, could have, all that good stuff. I agree. There are a lot of things that should have been different, but we have to understand this pandemic is like a war. I mean, you're talking to a man that served 13 years in the military, and this is an enemy that I've never seen before, because it changes and it is just coming out of nowhere. You can't see it. You know, it's very difficult. But what we have to do is do the best we can. Now, as far as removing mass training in individual school districts, that's a discussion that you can have with your leadership. And I'm sure that they can implement these protocols so that they can train how to remove masks. But right now, you know, it's so difficult, but I really feel confident to say, and I don't know if our superintendent is still on the call for one of our school districts. I know this particular superintendent is very, very receptive to any feedback from her troops. And when I say troops, I'm back to the military. I used to be a captain, I'm Captain Quinn. And you have your platoon leader, you have your platoon sergeants, you have your corporals. Any feedback is helpful. So be a part of the solution and make these suggestions to your leadership. And that's something that they very might well employ, and it will be helpful.
I do see Miss Martin on the line, and if she have anything to say, we will definitely appreciate it. If not, we totally understand.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing wonderful this evening. I agree with everything that Dr. Quinn has said tonight. We are truly grateful for the medical teams that we have and individuals, nurses in our buildings who help us to keep our students safe each and every day. We are encouraging parents to do those vaccinations. We've actually had several vaccination drives in our school district so that we're bringing them to the parent instead of the parent having to go out to clinics. So everything he said, I totally 100% agree with. We are following some very strict protocols. I'm often called the COVID police, because we're ensuring that our students are properly wearing those masks. And that's something you can't just tell them one time. You have to tell them throughout the day. We're also making sure that, of course, that hand washing, as well as we are taking temps in the Hinds County School District. So just everything he said, we totally agree with. We're following those same principles, and we're looking forward to the day that we can say that this pandemic is behind us.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. And I know for a fact Dr. Martin is working very hard with her district of Hinds County. She's reached out to us and a lot of the other healthcare personnel throughout the state. She's working very closely with Dr. Chapman with Jackson Hinds, and Dr. Chapman and I are friends. And we talked about the relationship with Hinds County, and Dr. Chapman shared a lot of the measures that she's working very closely with Dr. Martin on, that Dr. Martin articulated, and it's very effective, and it's just so good when leadership reaches out to the community for help. And right now, we all need to just come together and pool our resources, because we're fighting against an enemy that's very difficult. But as I said before, things are going to get better. You know, even though we're in the middle of this Omicron surge, a lot of people are getting infected. We're seeing a little bit of light in that it's appearing to be less deadly than the Delta variant. And that's because we're building up these antibodies. So I really appreciate this opportunity that you all have given us tonight to speak with you all. And I hope that we've been encouraging, not discouraging. And I hope that we've been empowering to give you the information you need to make the informed decisions as far as the best protocols for your children. Because as I said at the beginning, our children are our everything. And like I did a news broadcast a little while back, and the lady said, well, you know, children dying is so small. You know, we've had so few children to die. But what I said, and I think everybody can agree, for that one parent that lost their child, to that parent, to that grandparent, to that brother, to that community, that was their everything. So one child is one too many. So we have to continue to do everything we said. And I'm just going to echo Dr. Martin. I'm so proud that she was a part of the audience. I'm just so proud. But we have to do everything we can to make the most informed decisions so that we can be the best guardians of our most precious resources, our most precious things in our lives, our children. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Quinn, we are so thankful that that we was able to put together this town hall. It was extremely informative, sharing the information so that we can definitely take it in. Like you said, being empowered is so important, especially when we are dealing with this COVID-19 and the Omicron variant, because it's just so much information out there, and trying to figure out what to believe or what to consider. It's been hard to filter through, and for you to come on tonight and provide some information, it was extremely empowering. So we do thank you for that. Also, I want to say thank you for Dr. Martin for coming in today. We know that you didn't have to come in. We know you have a busy day every day, but for you to come in and spend this hour with us, and I'm sorry, that's my little baby. He's having a good time in the background. But Dr. Martin, thank you so much for coming in. And everybody that was on the call tonight, we know that it was a sacrifice to come in today, but we thank you so much. And we do hope that you have learned something that you can implement in your daily commute, or and also, fight against the COVID-19 virus. So guys, we thank you so much. We have also, I want to just say, we have two of our board members that was able to make it today, Ms. Beverly Doug Davis, and also Cynthia Wallace. Guys, we thank you so much for coming in today, being a part of this event. We thank you so much. And guys, that's it. This will be on our Facebook page. So guys, if you want to go back and look at it, and also share, because like I said, it was a ton of information on this town hall. And also everybody will be receiving a survey, because we need to know what we did good, what we did bad, and how we can improve. We hope that this will not be the last town hall that we have. So again, thank you so much, Dr. Quinn. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everyone have a great evening, and thank you for allowing me to participate. God bless everyone and your families. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.